Get the fuck out of here! Go home! We don't want you here. We don't like your kind here. We only like people in blue cars around here. One more. Don't honk at me. Don't honk at me, asshole. The gate is open. Time to go through. Are you ready for what's on the other side?
Nope. Oh, God dang it.
This is the movie that made me not want to go on a trip to Europe. I know this is a horrible misrepresentation of a lot of things happening in Europe, but, you know, I still look at it and I'm just like, huh, this is crazy, but, you know, I've knows there's some messed up stuff that goes on in the world. I know there is, you know, rich people doing rich people shit. Because that's real. That is a real thing. But I just look at it. I look at this as it's one of the more horrific like things that I could imagine happening to me and my friends. Just like one by one, we're like slowly eliminated. You know, because we're dragged into a situation that is, you know, that is completely beyond our control.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Hostel. What a I remember when this film came out, me and my dad watched it, and my dad was just like, son, I ain't never going to Europe. I ain't never going. And he just stood up and we left. And we didn't talk basically the whole way back to his house.
Actually, when I saw this movie, I wasn't a super big fan of it overall. Because while the final act of the movie is pretty terrifying,
yeah,
it is such a slow burn that like the first 2/3 of the movie just feels like so pointless.
Well, I would say the first half of the film is that slow burn because, you know, we're getting to know... The thing is, it's getting us into these characters, you know.
Yeah, but I didn't like the characters, so...
Well, no, because they were sort of douchebags.
Really relatable or likable, so...
Well, the only one that was, I mean, he kept getting overwhelmed by his friends, you know, doing dumb shit.
The second movie felt way better paced to me.
Fair enough. I watched this one all the way through. I did not finish the second one. I got about halfway through it, and I'm not sure what happened, why I didn't finish it, but maybe need to go back and watch it and finish it and see what I think. But yeah, this film definitely... I was a junior in high school when this came out, and I think this is one of the first R-rated films I actually got to go in by myself and watch. You know, like literally buying a ticket and just being like, "Hey, I'm 17. I can watch this."
I think I rented this one after it came out on DVD.
Yeah. Man. All right, so let's go ahead and check this out. This is Hostel to Kill Count. This is the first one, and I guess let's get into it.
Hey everybody, we here at Dead Meat want to voice our full support for the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, because without writers and actors, we wouldn't have all the movies that we love to talk about.
James and I both came from working class union homes, so we know that when rights aren't given, they have to be fought for.
We spoke to a SAG representative to clarify how we should proceed while supporting them. They said to fulfill any previously agreed to sponsorship contracts, so that means that we're going to stick to the original kill count schedule through the end of August.
After that, and immediately on the podcast, we're not going to be covering anything made by AMPTP Studios until the strike ends out of solidarity. We're still going to be putting out stuff, but it's going to be not struck work such as indie movies, foreign films, and possibly other kinds of media.
You can find more information about all of this from the links in the video description, and if anything changes, we'll let you know. In the meantime, support the strikes and be good people. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Hostel, released in 2005. If 2004's Saw was the torture porn progenitor, Hostel is the movie that popularized the term, making good on the subgenre's gory promise. It follows 3 young idiot tourists as they backpack across
Emphasis on idiots.
Europe to get high and have sex. Their sexcapades lead them to a Slovakian hostel, which turns tourists into kidnapped victims for the elite hunting club, a place where wealthy clients can pay a few $1,000s to torture and murder people. Writer-director Eli Roth said he got the idea from a website offering murder tourism.
I'd seen this website where you could go to Thailand and pay $10,000 to walk into a room and shoot somebody in the head.
After briefly considering a documentary, he opted for a fictional narrative instead, combining it with an idea of backpacking horror from producers Chris Briggs and Mike Fleiss. Roth was coming off the success of his feature debut, 2002's Cabin Fever. With Hostel, he aimed to avoid the sophomore slump and push for even more visceral discomfort. He wanted a movie that didn't feel safe. And to that end, Hostel is a massive success. Your torture porn tolerance will strongly dictate your enjoyment of this film.
Not everyone should see this film, all right? You've heard of extreme sports. If you're into extreme entertainment, then Hostel is the one for you.
Yeah, this was back when Quentin Tarantino had, like, Eli Roth's back on everything he touched.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, like, seeing where Eli Roth is now, and seeing, like Quentin has still maintained a friendship with him even throughout all these years is pretty cool. It's pretty interesting.
And its violence isn't the only extreme thing. It's also super booby, with the first act sometimes feeling like softcore porn. It was honestly a bitch to blur.
Basically what I was saying about it when I watched it, I was like, the first half just felt like a fucking porno movie. It was so stupid.
Yes, yes.
Just as pronounced as the blood and boobs is the movie's tone. It's peak mid-aughts meanness, a pure distillation of 2005, which perhaps surprisingly actually makes me kind of love Hostel. I talk a lot about post 9/11 Bush era, but I have to again here, since Hostel is simply steeped in that zeitgeist. The American tourists are obnoxious and entitled visitors to other countries.
Hey, I'm an American, I got rights.
And why wouldn't they be? This is the time of freedom fries and flag obsession, baby, when the rest of the world was expected to acquiesce to the US of A.
How the hell are we supposed to understand this without subtitles? Fucking gay.
This attitude stemmed from the fear Americans felt towards foreigners after the towers fell, which is really what this whole movie is about.
Right now, nothing scares me more than those videos on the internet of Al-Qaeda terrorists decapitating people. It's the thought that you're in a room and no matter what you say or what you do, someone's going to cut your head off. You can't offer them any amount of money. They're going to do it, and there's nothing you can do about that.
It's the paranoia of the color-coded terrorism chart, the TSA that assumes everyone is a potential terrorist. That paranoia ends up being justified in this movie, where seemingly everyone in Slovakia is trying to traffic tourists. Americans fetch the highest price, probably since so much of the world was pissed at us during the War on Terror.
Suddenly, in the last few years, with George Bush in office, everything has changed. You feel like people really hate us.
They saw Americans as these characters, and to be fair, sometimes it felt like everyone acted this way back then.
And that bitch had the best fucking tits in Amsterdam.
These characters are so period accurate that...
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not going to say everyone was like that, but that was definitely what was being portrayed in film so often. Because films like this, Euro Trip, and several others that were like, you know, about people backpacking or doing like a trip through Europe. It also the Deuce Bigalow movie, Deuce Bigalow European Gigolo. Basically, it portrayed like a hostility towards Americans, and like the Americans were like confused as to why. And just so you know this, I'm not my government. I did not support the War on Terror. I did not support, you know, all of these, you know, like finding WMDs in Iraq, which there weren't any, and there's no amount of like bullshit that you can throw in front of me that will convince me otherwise. But it's like they said artificial sweeteners were safe, WMDs were in Iraq, and Anna Nicole married for love. It's all bullshit. I mean, and to pretend all Americans are like that is just, it's not healthy.
Why is George Bush so sure that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
Because he has
the receipt.
Well, it's because Well, it's because
The
he
Dave
was
Chappelle bit.
Well, yeah, he was upset at the fact that his dad, Saddam Hussein tried to kill his dad, and he wanted to have a one-up on his dad. Basically, that's the political divisiveness. In a lot of ways, started with Bush, and it's reached its peak right now. And I think a lot of people are starting to get sick of the political divisiveness, and people are actually starting to see through the bullshit. And I'm not saying everyone agrees on stuff, but a lot of people are really starting to see through the bullshit of the letter and the degree of manipulation that's going on. And they're just I'm just sick and tired of being pandered to all the time. I'm sick and tired of being pandered to. I'm sick and tired of people being offended on my behalf. I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit. Can I speak for myself? Can I think for myself? I mean, isn't that what most people out there want out of life? Not being told what to do all the time? Anyway, sorry.
Hostel becomes a perfect preservation of an era. And similarly to how Rob Zombie movies sincerely look at hellbillies, Hostel is authentically frat, and not in a flattering way. The protagonists are rude, crude, and juvenile. Way worse than a slasher's average annoying teens.
Yes. I hope bestiality is legal in Amsterdam because that girl's a fucking hog.
The first half of the movie is spent learning to hate these guys, and then the second half is watching them get tortured. The movie basically dares you to enjoy it. And if you do, well, what does that say about you? At that point, you're basically paying to watch them suffer, which sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Where there's smoke, there's fire, and where there's... Why does this always happen during kill count intros? It's because of sponsors.
Yeah.
James, oh, hey, there you are, buddy.
Hey, Zoran.
I'm here to help.
Help with what?
Oh, you said that you couldn't do the kill count until you found a handyman.
No, I said I couldn't film a kill count until I found the handyman.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's the latest product from today's sponsor, Manscaped.
Oh, Manscaped. I love them. They're really good for taking care down there.
Yeah, they are. And they're trusted by over 8 million customers for their hygiene and trimming needs. But now, Manscaped can help keep that face baby smooth too with the Handyman razor.
That's really interesting.
It's a compact electric razor with a dual blade system to provide a quick close shave and skin safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts.
So you don't need someone to repair the kill count set.
No, but what I did need was to clean up my 3 days of facial hair growth. You see, with the Handyman's 60 minutes...
3 days. Amateur.
Minutes of runtime, I like to keep it on hand throughout the day. But it's so small that I, sometimes forget to take it out of my pockets. I found it though, so now I'm all set to do some counting.
So I came over for nothing.
No, not nothing, man. Because you can get 20% off your own Handyman razor by going to manscaped.com and using our code KILLCOUNT20.
Cool. I don't just get one because I work for the company?
Nope. But you do need to leave. I am in the middle of filming a kill count.
Let's go back to my cage.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, Zoran.
Okay. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And where there's torture, there's kills. Let's find out how many and get to them. The movie begins with Bloodsport Hygiene. They're getting this club nice and ready for us. Backpacking buds Paxton and Josh are importing American rowdiness to Amsterdam.
I'm fucking awesome!
They're rolling with an Icelandic bro named Oli they met in Paris. And the three of them are getting down and dirty in the Netherlands. They smoke weed with director Eli Roth, get into bar fights slinging homophobic slurs, and have dirty bathroom sex. At least Oli does. Paxton and Josh are having a harder time getting laid, which Paxton blames partially on Josh's fanny pack. I hear they're coming back though.
Unfortunately, yeah, fanny packs back then were seen as dad stuff. Now they're seen as oh hey, the guy's smart. He actually knows how to take care of his stuff.
Dan Frisch there knows. These shitbags are disruptive interlopers, completely dismissive of the locals. They only care about getting fucked and getting fucked up. The closest act of decency we see comes from Paxton.
We can't rail a girl who's in a coma.
What an ally. He's played by the very handsome Jay Hernandez, last seen on the show violating the 6-foot rule in quarantine. Paxton may be a prick, but Hernandez plays him well. There's a later scene where he talks about seeing a girl drown when he was younger, and it almost makes you like the guy. Pax and his friends stay up all night.
That's like I said, he's the only decent one among them And even then, that's not saying much.
You get lucky at a brothel so hardcore, even the shadow puppets get it on. Everyone has a good time except for Josh, who's reeling from a recent breakup and isn't comfortable with sex workers. Even with Oli picking up the tab, Josh can't provide the tip. The brothel scene was heavily cut to earn an R rating. I think the crew got a little too excited filming it.
Naked girls everywhere, naked girls everywhere.
The boys end up staying out so long they get locked out
Sounds
of their
like you.
hostel after curfew, and since they're loud asshole Americans, they wind up getting bottles tossed at them. Lucky for them, a local sex creep named Alexi takes pity on their horny plight and offers them shelter and reassurance.
Not everyone wants to kill Americans.
Sporting a hell of a friggin' fever blister, if that's what that actually is.
Just everyone in this movie. Alexi's a kindred pervert who also has no problem watching his friends have sex. He shares a slideshow of him having sex with multiple ladies and says it's easy to score further east, like in Slovakia. Well, a stranger saying they can get some strange is enough for these fucking idiots to alter their travel plans and head towards Bratislava. PAX West becomes PAX East. On the train there, they meet a Dutch businessman who eats salad with his hands like a fucking psycho.
I like to have a connection with something that died for me. I appreciate it more.
This guy is played by Czech actor Jan Vlasic in one of his only American productions. He talks about the spiritual purity of handling meat, but since Josh doesn't want the guy's hands anywhere near his meat, he gives them back their personal space and flees. At least personal space won't be a problem in Bratislava. You dumbasses feeling good about your decisions yet? The guys are disappointed by what they find, as was the country of Slovakia, since despite this movie taking place there, it was actually filmed in the neighboring Czech Republic. Specifically, this beautiful looking town is Český Krumlov, a historic tourist center on the Vltava River with a 13th century castle downtown. Slovakia wasn't thrilled with their depiction in Hostel. The movie's Bratislava is a place where everyone's scheming to kill you, where gangs of street children threaten your kneecaps, and where the police are paid off and corrupt. The real Slovakia? Yeah, not so much.
It's like a beautiful country with normal people, nice.
The script seems ignorant of the country's reality altogether.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes both ways. You see, our ignorance of that place is one thing, whereas a lot of people have an ignorant view of the United States, and, you know, our media doesn't really help anything, but, yeah.
I just still feel like even if you're setting it in the real world, you should make up a name of a town that sounds like it would be in that country rather than change the way an actual town is portrayed, you know?
Or if anything, have the surface be beautiful, but let there be like a seedy underbelly, you know, that it's good at hiding from like the people who are unaware of it.
Yeah, and don't portray the entire place as a hellhole.
Yeah, it's not fair.
With part of Alexi's pitch being that there aren't a lot of men there.
There is so much pussy, and because of the war, there are no guys.
I don't know what war he's talking about. The splitting of Slovakia and the Czech Republic was so peaceful, it's sometimes called the Velvet Divorce. And that name comes from the bloodless Velvet Revolution in 1989, which is when communist rule ended in Czechoslovakia. Neither of those events were wars. Roth countered the country's complaints by saying that Americans don't even know Slovakia exists. He probably thought of it as less a real place and more a metaphor for American xenophobia. Slovakia actually offered him an all-expense-paid trip, but I don't think he ever took him up on it. Meanwhile, he did apologize to Iceland for misrepresenting them through Oli, a drunk womanizer. They get to the hostel and trade their passports for keys to a room that they'll have to share.
Roommates, huh? That's gay.
Or is it? Yep, turns out this place is frat boy freaking heaven, with topless women everywhere and Pulp Fiction on the tube. That's an overt nod to Roth's friend and mentor Quentin Tarantino, who encouraged him to make this movie and served as one of its executive producers. The hottie hot roommates invite the boys to the sauna, where they introduce themselves as Natalia and Svetlana. They're interested in Josh and Paxton, even though Oli's right there with a svelte sack.
I'm so happy I shaved my balls.
Oli, who styles himself the king of the swing, is played by Eyþór Johnson, who was not an actor when Roth met him on an Icelandic scouting trip for Cabin Fever. The director was so won over by the entrepreneur and former athlete that he created this role just for him, based on his real-life personality. Johnson would go on to be an associate producer for Hostel 2, and actually, that's it. That is his entire film career. You good with that, Eyþór?
Yeah, of course, my horse.
Cool beans. The ladies take the boys out.
Well, I mean, he had his taste of, you know, the film life. And he didn't enjoy it, I guess. Or maybe he enjoyed it to a fault, but it wasn't for him. I mean,
Well, he probably just had the opportunity to get in on some of it, but he's not actually a professional actor or anything, so he didn't intend to keep going after his opportunity was passed.
Yeah.
Out for dancing and ambiguous drugs, but Josh still can't have a good time. He leaves by himself and gets cornered by a roving child gang who threatens to murder him. But the meat man from the train arrives and saves him, so Josh buys him a beer and apologizes for correctly responding to his sexual harassment earlier. This cheers moment is probably the closest Hostel comes to subtlety. The Dutch businessman implies he knows that Josh is closeted and says he made the same choice when he was his age, resulting in a wife and a young daughter back home. The way Derek Richardson plays it, the Dutch businessman might be right about Josh. It gives the character more dimension and a reason for his homophobia, though of course not an excuse.
Well, yeah, I would say he probably is, and if his character wound up being that way, cool. But at the same time, I don't know, because we don't really have enough time with this character to truly understand who he truly is. I would say he probably is, or if anything, maybe he's bisexual. I don't know. I mean, there's really no way for him to know.
Strange guy at the bar doesn't stop Josh from having synchronized sex with his boys, though. Well, one of his boys. Oli's missing come morning. A Japanese tourist named Kana has very 2005 evidence that Oli ran away with her friend. The boys do their due diligence trying to find Oli, even stalking a random guy through a torture museum with the coolest ticketing system ever. When
That's
they get
awesome.
a weird text from him, it's enough for Dumb and Dumberer. They give up, reasoning that they don't even know the guy. Hell, it wasn't until the train ride over they found out he has a 6-year-old daughter. Too bad that kid's an orphan now, since Oli is revealed to have been decapitated inside this Dave and Buster's of thrill killing. Kana's friend is also here, but her death is ultimately unseen. A clever match cut spares us the sight of a toe severance. Ha! Nailed it. Justin's already at lip kiss goodbye status with these chicks, so they're back to party time that night. Josh ends up so sick he starts seeing force ghosts, so he decides to call it a night and leave. Paxton sticks around, but gets so fucked up that through a comedy of errors, he winds up locked inside a broom closet trying to find the bathroom. The drugs kick in and both boys pass out, with Paxton inadvertently hiding himself from human trafficking. Josh, not so lucky. He wakes up later with eyesight like the Looney Tunes logo got stuck while opening. But that's okay. This guy here knows all about openings. For instance, he just drilled an opening into Josh's leg. The weekend warrior torturing Josh is none other than the Dutch businessman. He's unfulfilled in life and would rather deal in death.
I always wanted to be a surgeon.
But them salad fingers were just too damn shaky. He's gotten close to Josh because it matches what he said about food on the train.
I like to have a connection with something that died for me. I appreciate it more.
He slits Josh's Achilles tendons, causing him to scream like he were set on fire by a cartoon mouse. Though the action itself is done off screen, we sure do get a close-up when Josh takes a step and splits his ankles open. Josh...
That's like the hardest scene to watch in the movie, in my opinion. It's just like, oh, what the fuck?
Okay, I have seen someone's Achilles tendon blow out. Like, literally. I was there when he was running, like, the drill, and he landed with his plant leg, and he spun around. And when he spun around, his front cleat got caught in the grass, and then you just hear, and you heard that, and then all of a sudden he just goes, "Oh, fuck!" And he's down on the ground, and he's like gripping his leg. We thought he sprained his ankle or something like that, and we found out, no. Like, an Achilles injury is basically, for most people, a career ender, especially if you're in sports. Now, they have done, surgeries have come a long way. For instance, Terrell Suggs, one of your favorite football players, he blew out his Achilles. And he came back, and he actually got back into, like, Pro Bowl level, like ability. Like, he didn't lose a step, thankfully. Kevin Durant, same thing. Kevin Durant blew out his Achilles, and then I think it was like a year and a half later, he was able to come back, and he's back at all-star level. But, you know, unfortunately, for what happened to my friend, he never played sports again because of it. Also, the professor, the basketball player, he's another one who blew out his Achilles, and then basically about a year and a half to 2 years later, he was able to start making videos again. And I was worried about the professor because the professor's almost 40, and I was hoping that his leg would recover, and thankfully it did. But yeah, stuff like this, man, your Achilles is basically your primary way of moving your foot. Like that right there, like your primary foot movement or on screen, like that right there, any kind of movement is dependent upon your Achilles. And also in terms of you walking, just you trying to walk, it's impossible without your Achilles tendon.
Yep.
Offers to pay the guy, but he says he's the one who's paid to do this. With that, he gets his money's worth and slits Josh's throat. Paxton wakes up confused and tries to find answers from their half-naked roomies, but instead, he finds 2 new half-naked roomies who tell him to join them at the spa. Even Paxton's dumbass knows he ain't got that much riz. He sees Natalia and Svetlana leaving the city in a cab, which makes him so mad he could choke a kid. Oh shit, Pax man, calm down, dude. You're choking a kid.
How did it feel to choke a child?
It's like one of my dreams. You know
That's
Jay.
like for the spank bank.
Yeah, wait, what? He tracks down his former
God, Eli Roth's a weird dude.
roomies and finds them looking way less glamorous. When he asks where Josh is, Natalia responds by taking him to where RoboCop died. She says that Josh is totally enjoying an art exhibition inside. Before he enters, Pax asks for a review from a verified customer.
You could spend all your money in there.
That guy is fellow gorehound Takashi Miike, the Japanese director of ultra-violent classic.
Yes! I didn't realize that!
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Dude!
That's kick-ass.
Dude! The fact that yes!
Like Audition and Ichi the Killer.
Damn.
A thumbs up like
Hell
that is
yeah.
enough to lure Paxton deeper into the compound, where Natalia has such sights to show him. Like his best friend getting sliced and diced by a Dutch businessman living out his surgical fantasies. Paxton's American exceptionalism has ended with a rude wake-up call from Natalia.
I get a lot of money for you. And that make you my bitch.
She laughs and gloats as he's captured by hench Slovaks who give Paxton the rest of the tour. They drag him past several other rich psychopaths, letting off steam and a little bit of bone dust, adding 4 more victims to our count. This hallway of the industrial slaughterhouse is supposed to be the inverse of the brothel's design. Production designer Franco Giacomo Carbone wanted the neon colors of the earlier scenes to drain out over the course of the film.
As you see the progression, we're going into Slovakia, draining the color from the movie, and then we end up in the factory.
This design through line was paired with shot choices, which start off floaty with cranes and steadicams when the guys are having fun. They switch to a more documentary-like handheld style as things get real. The background actors change as well, losing their youth and spark as the movie goes on. The sets for the brothel and torture club were built next to each other on a soundstage, where they could conveniently be switched around with a pulley system.
That's
Other
awesome.
slaughterhouse interiors were shot in an abandoned wing of the Bochnica Psychiatric Hospital near Prague. The atmosphere was so naturally heavy that production needed reinforcements for morale.
We are going to have a string quartet playing Vivaldi in between the takes, so to make it a nice, more pleasant atmosphere to work.
Why not just play it through a speaker system? Never mind. It's Eli Roth. He probably has his reasons.
Paxton is chained up in a private
You'd
room
probably
at
just
the
be like,
mercy
that's
of a
not the
German
same,
surgeon.
man.
Well, but not gonna say, okay, it's his money for his film. He can spend it however the fuck he wants. He produced it. It's his baby. So yeah, if he wants to hire a string quartet to play Vivaldi while, horrific things are being filmed, okay.
The surgeon seems to have some doubts at first, even though he paid to be here. I get it. It's like when you're on the plane going up to skydive. The surgeon considers aerating him, shooting him, and giving him awful bangs, but he ultimately settles on the Sawyer Special. All hands now half off. I'm not sure why the German then backs up enough to have a running charge at the Pax-Man, but he slips on the fingers and cuts his leg like Leatherface's in the original Chainsaw Massacre. Oh wait, this
Except
is
it goes all the way
his
through.
leg like Leatherface's arm in the remake Chainsaw Massacre. The slapstick severance gives Paxton enough time to wiggle free, and he takes the man's life without even having to pay for it. Sure, a gun might not be too creative, but the price is finger-slipping good. Outside, the guard Vin Unleaded takes a break from watching an actual cabin fever porn parody called Sex Fever to check on the ruck.
Oh, I wonder if Eli Roth saw that was a thing and was just like, you know what? I respect them for, making a porn parody of my film. I'm gonna have that in my next film.
Unfortunately for him, Pax-Man has eaten a big dot and turned the tables, because he takes out this blue ghost with a couple of gunshots. You're a natural at this, Pax. Already landed yourself a BOGO. Since he came to Europe to get digits, he ain't leaving his behind. He takes...
unless you get to a hospital pretty quickly, you're not gonna be able to save him.
Yeah.
Takes his fingies to go and sneaks out in a horny disguise, then ditches it to hide on the body trolley. From what I can tell, there are 5 distinct bodies here, so I'll go ahead and add them to the count. They're wheeled away by
I
the
think we
places,
could probably extrapolate that some of those were the people we passed on the way in, though.
Probably, but there's not enough telling features to make them distinct from the ones we saw before. So I can understand him literally making more bodies because if there's no evidence to support it, then I don't know. Maybe.
Blacksmith, is that what he is? As Paxton struggles to keep all hands and arms inside the ride vehicle. They get to the guy's shop. Oh, duh, he's more like a butcher. Where Paxton sees Josh's body with his mouth sewn shut. Shh. The butcher's meat in this scene was a combination of fake and actual meat, specifically pork, which was sometimes used for close-ups of drills going into flesh. It smelled so bad it caused a bunch of the crew to retch.
Can we get some incense?
Pax loses his fingers again, and this time for good, since the butcher tosses them into a fire. Doomed to a lifetime of counting problems, Paxton adds the butcher to our count by stealth bonking him with his own tenderizer. Paxton then sneaks around like he's in a Pokemon tower, avoiding other trainers. In a locker room upstairs, he finds a business card with a bloodhound on it. The front says Elite Hunting, and the back shows different prices for different tours.
Russian, European, American. I'm noticing that Japanese, or maybe he asked about that. Russian, European, American, but the Japanese I'm sure is probably just as expensive as American because of how safe the Japanese safe the Japanese Japan's national security is. I'd say Japan's national security is actually more secure than ours, simply because of how small the island is.
Tourists. He also finds a better disguise, and though the glove doesn't fit, he won't quit trying to survive. Another American shows up, presuming Pax to be another paying customer.
How was it? Good.
The American says he's here because sex tourism got old. His Paxtonian pastimes grew passé.
And the bottom line is, pussy's pussy.
This underlines how the murder biz is like the most extreme version of what Paxton and Josh were doing, traveling to a foreign land and paying for pleasures of the flesh.
The theme of exploitation runs all throughout Hostel. What these guys are doing in Amsterdam with these hookers, they're walking into a room, paying to do whatever they want to them, is the same thing that these businessmen are doing later to them. They're walking into a room, paying to do whatever they want to them.
The Yank ain't sure at first if he wants...
Except the hookers usually get paid to do that, to do the nasty with you, whereas you are paying someone else to do the nasty to the person, and the person isn't getting paid at all.
In fact, they're losing their life over it.
Exactly. So that's a different level of exploitation right there, man, because I'm not one to knock the oldest profession in the world. I mean, because that's the thing. Pimping is something that I think most prostitutes and most women and men in that scenario can do without. You don't really need pimps, taking a percentage of it, because modern day communication makes it to where that's not really a problem anymore. And plus, you can just Uber somewhere. You can Uber somewhere, and basically I mean,
I think they're more for protection than anything else.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Protection and collection.
Protection, well, yeah, and that's another thing too. You know, which is why a lot of women who do that, like I've heard, they take money up front. They're just like, there's like, you send me the money now, and I'll be on your doorstep within an hour. It's like okay, it's like $2,000, boom, and it's just like okay, if you're not here in an hour, I'm taking that money back. Basically, it's just transactions are a lot easier to do nowadays over the internet.
To kill his victim quickly or take it slow. He opts for a slow weapon, so Paxton's more than happy to take the fast one himself. He makes it out to the parking lot, but just when he thought he was out, he hears Kana screaming, and god damn it, they pull him back in. He spies with his little eye, Kana missing one of hers. Her face is so fucked up here that I'm just gonna have to blur it for the rest of this video.
Yeah.
Shit. They called this effect the eyegasm behind scenes, and it is super duper fucking gross. The amateur on
Her actress is just like diddling the eyeball that's like out of her head.
Interest is none other than the American customer. Paxton saves Kana by making sure the guy's shots are up to date. And now it's time for cleanup. In what has to be the single most difficult moment of the movie to watch, Paxton cuts Kana's torched eyeball off. Oh my god, and then a bunch of yellow pus squirts out. Jesus Christ. Oh,
that one's the one that got me. The Achilles one was one thing. That one got me even worse. I was like, ugh.
Barfest and all of the movie's effects were done by the legendary K&B.
Oh,
Jesus, really?
The first person I cast when I was making this movie was K&B Effects.
The company had done
So the thing about it is I'd basically forgotten about the eyegasm. Like, I remember them talking about it, like, and I saw it in some of the behind-the-scenes shit, like, back when I saw the movie, you know? But I'd almost forgotten about it, but I've not forgotten about the Achilles tendon split. Like, that's seared into my brain.
Both of them are for me, but the eyegasm when I initially saw this is what caught me. That's what got me. Whereas the Achilles thing, I guess where I'd seen like someone's Achilles pop like that, it didn't affect me as much.
Could be.
Albeit I didn't see like their back of their legs like gape open and like ugh.
I'm much more desensitized to that kind of stuff now than I used to be. There used to be a lot more stuff that bothered me when I initially saw it. Like, the brain surgery scene from Saw 3 really fucking bothered me when I initially saw it.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad.
And I'm now, like, I've watched some actual brain surgery videos and stuff since then, and I finally got over that, and I'm actually to the point where I'm desensitized to brain surgery and stuff now,
I would say the custard scene from Dead Alive, the lawnmower scene from Dead Alive. You ever seen Dead Alive?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the custard scene was, though.
The mother like popping the pus.
Oh yeah.
And it going into the dude's custard and him eating it. And then the other one, like the lawnmower scene, like from beginning to end, is just a gore fest unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, and even like the other stuff that's going on around them. For instance, like the dude with his head, with his spine literally ripped out, and him walking around and his head like floating on top of the spine. Then the woman grabbing it, spitting in his face, and then swinging it around like a mason flail and breaking it on the table. And then her throwing the other dude's head, like top of his head, like from here up into the blender and turning it on. And then the last one where like he's on top, like the dude's on top on like the bottom of the lawnmower, and he holds onto his arm, and like the dude like goes into the lawnmower and gets mulched. I'm like, oh, so much like cheeseball gore and guts, and I'm just like, and that's the thing where it's portrayed, it's visceral but yet cheeseball gore at the same time. You know, it's like,
which makes it easier to watch.
Yes.
Some of the more realistic surgical precision type stuff.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
And the brain surgery scene in Saw. And yeah. Anyway.
The rack in Saw.
Oh yeah, the dude, his leg.
That was also really hard for me to watch. Bones coming out of skin used to be really hard for me to look at.
Yeah.
The descent got me with both that and the fingernails. as well. Like when I first saw it, but now I can watch this without like shying away from it.
I know it's
They're still awful to think about, but like I can at least view them without trying to cover my eyes or anything.
True.
And Roth was thrilled to have them back to make more fucked up shit.
This is really beautiful, intricate work.
The melted eye was one of the first things that they designed.
I personally like the idea that, while the eyeball's in the socket and it's being cooked, it's sort of like cooking an egg.
They wound up putting a fake eye inside a condom and had supervisor Kevin Wassner squeeze the pus out of a tube. Ugh. For Paxton's torture, they made a hollow silicone hand and filled it with blood, then cut it with an actual chainsaw.
Up. Down. Cut.
And for Josh's infamous heel slits, they were able to reuse a pair of fake legs from Kill Bill. Goes to show how something simple can also be really memorable.
Also, it's imperative to reuse shit. Like have that prop on standby just in case you need. Because
somebody ever needs it again.
Yeah, saves money, saves a shit ton of money. Saves time. Yeah.
That'll be great.
Paxton re-escapes with Kana, and by now you have to ask yourself if you still hate him or if you want him to succeed. And it can be both. You might just want to see these human traffickers lose, since they also target innocent people like Kana.
Well, I see Paxton wanting to win more because he is the only redeemable one out of the bunch, like, for the most part. There's some redeemable qualities about most of them. The fact that Oli had his daughter that he could potentially go home to. Bilbo. Jesus Christ. You pushed the camera again. Damn it. Sorry.
Way to go, Bilbo.
It's okay. He didn't push it that bad. There we go. Sorry, it's just a little bit. But, yeah. And then Josh, because of his, potential sexual confusion, and him, like, not coming to terms with who he is. And then Paxton, I think, is the most redeemable because he actually cares enough about his friend to go looking for him and to find him.
And to go back for a girl he only talked to one time.
Yeah, he barely knew the girl.
That's his redemption arc for me. Like,
yeah.
He's a fucking ass, but like, yeah, by the end of the movie, I'm rooting for him because I'm like, the fact that he went back for her gives him a second chance in my eyes.
Yeah, and I would say
that's some self-sacrifice at that point because you never know if you're going to make it back out of there alive. If
exactly.
You go back in,
And the fact he did it for a woman he barely knew at all, and I would say that's something that is just.
I could see them easily have writing it to where he heard her screaming, but he's like, "There's no fucking way I'm going back."
Yeah, and if actually. They do movies that have like the choice thing, and it like affects the overall like outcome. I think that this would have been an interesting one to do that with, because they did that for, I forget, it was like one of the House on the Hill, like direct to DVD sequels. They did that to where you could choose the outcome. I would love to make a film like that. But, have the endings be ridiculous. Sort of like how Markiplier's done his, In Space with Markiplier or, Heist with Markiplier.
Yeah.
I would like to do that, but in a legitimate sense with, like, a contiguous story. Like, there are, like, 3 to 4 endings, and the choices you make, play heavily into what ending you get. And anyway, sorry. We've rambled on this for a fair amount of time. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Paxton leads the goons on a car chase back to town. There, he spots Natalia and Svetlana conspiring with that dirty Dutch rat, Alexei. Pax earns himself a threefer by running them over with his car. Oh, wait, sorry. Natalia survived. Oh, wait, never mind.
No, she didn't.
Probably not. These awesome stunts were filmed multiple times on a public road. With a stunt performer I wish they had credited by name here. At one point, she breaks the windshield with her head. Hot damn. Paxton turns onto the Child Gang Turnpike, but thankfully, he's got an easy pass. A big-ass bag of candy. Now on his payroll, the kids stop the car tailing him and go adorably home alone on the Oh shit, these kids
they fucked them up. I remember that. I remember just clapping, just like, yes, go kids.
Twist. Seriously though, it's disturbing to see kids smiling and killing all for some bubble gum. For almost every...
You didn't see City of God, did you? Because There was no candy involved in that, and those kids did horrible things. Especially to Lil Zay. Jesus. Holy fuck.
Every role outside the 3 leads, production cast check locals, even if that meant some phonetic directing was required.
Get the fuck out.
Lots of internet trivia claims the Bubblegum Gang was played by actual street kids, but internet trivia is often wrong, and I couldn't verify that fact. In any case, these b-ball and Czech children got some free English lessons from.
I love the fact that they were like breakdancing. They were b-boying right there real quick.
That fact. In any case, these b-ball and Czech children got some free English lessons from Roth.
Punani! Punani! Bitches!
God, man. Good one, Eli.
Paxton drags Kana back to the train station. He's wondering how to sneak someone aboard whose face is part cherry cobbler when Kana sees a reflection of herself. Come on, Kana, don't you want to wear an eye patch like a badass pirate? Yeah? Her answer is sadly, yo no. And thanks to an oncoming train, everybody
Sad
gets
she could have done a badass Beto cosplay if she had stayed alive till Genshin came out.
Yeah, well, honestly, right there, Paxton not being with her at that moment was not the best, not the best choice on him. For me, if he would have stayed with her and would have reassured her through this, because right now she's emotionally broken because her best friend is dead. She's literally had her eye turned into a fucking modern art piece. She's had her eye cut out. This girl's been through the ringer. She's in a country where she doesn't speak the language. She can barely communicate with the person who's trying to save her. And honestly, she just felt like she couldn't do anything else. At that point, if I'm Paxton, I'm not leaving her side. I'm literally getting her to an embassy, and getting her the help that she deserves. Because she survived that. But yeah, anyway. I think, once again, that would have been one of the choices I would have done for a choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing. But anyway.
Cherry Cobbler. English actor Jennifer Lim was psyched to have a death scene.
I've always wanted to die a gruesome scream death.
All it took was a kick-ass stunt performer, a train running over a dummy, and a few fire extinguishers filled with pressurized blood. Hope she liked it more than the eye-cutting scene. Instead of joining her suicide squad, the distraction lets Paxton sneak on board the departing train. It'll take him back west to less scary countries. En route, he hears a familiar voice getting weird about meat. It's the Dutch businessman. And when he gets off the train to take a more luxurious poop, Paxton makes sure the bathroom is geschlossen for business. He taunts the squatting Dutchman with the club's business card before attacking. He cuts off the guy's fingers, just like he lost his own, then gives the Dutchman some atomic swirlies, presumably in his own piss. Finally, he shows him an opening by giving his throat an inglorious hole. Paxton gets back on the train.
Nice. Very nice. Also, I loved the fact that, I wish that he would have talked, sorry, your mic got knocked up. I wish he would have talked about the fact that, the German businessman the Dutch businessman looked up and saw it was Paxton who was doing it to him.
Yeah.
And the revelation of that, and knowing no matter what he said he was going to die, and and that look on his face when he realized that
the consequences of his actions.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was a very cathartic scene for sure.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why I told everybody, I was I really like the end of the movie.
Yes.
I really like the last act, basically, of the movie. Basically, from him getting captured to the end is the part of the movie I really like.
Yes.
Everything before that, I kind of could have done without. It was just not that great.
Yeah. But anyway.
Like nothing happened, and rides it away as the movie ends. At least in the final version. An alternate ending saw Paxton kidnap the Dutch businessman's daughter as payback, but test audiences didn't like it.
Yeah, that's not the best. That's not an ending that's good.
Mm-mm.
Jay Hernandez didn't either.
I did not like that at all. That was not. Nah.
Don't want to see it.
It's fucked up.
Did we get the numbers we paid?
See, that undoes the catharsis of everything of his escape and his redemption. That completely undoes any potential redemption.
It immediately 180s his redemption, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like him having a daughter, it all kind of fucks the whole situation up. So
well, no, him having his daughter there fucks the situation up. Him dying, and his daughter never seeing him again.
Yeah,
that's a consequence of of Paxton's actions. Yeah. But he's only doing it to the he's taking out, like, he's basically seeking justice on the only person who deserves it to happen to him at that moment. Him taking the daughter is no. That is a big negative, like just completely undoes any potential redemption that Paxton had, and instead him doing in the Dutchman like that basically is it's not the clean ending, and it's not, because the true good ending would be he sees the Dutch businessman, and then he sees the Dutch businessman's daughter, and basically him letting go of the aggression and just letting it be. And it basically ends with him doing nothing and just going back to his life, a la, missing 2 fingers. And the Dutch businessman basically gets away with it. That's the true good ending. Whereas the neutral ending and the more satisfying ending is him killing the Dutchman, leaving the Dutchman's daughter alone, and not, where she's at, because she's not present in the original or in the theatrical ending. She's not present at all. So as far as we know, she's back home with her mother or with family who can take care of her, and the Dutch businessman is just dead, which, as far as I'm concerned, he deserved it. And then, of course, the whole deal with, the bad ending is him taking his daughter, the worst ending. That's Darkest Timeline. Anyway, sorry.
For in this Hostel? Let's find out and get to them. Whoa! All right, who didn't pick up their fingers? The Roomba just kind of pushes them around.
Damn it, James.
I counted 23 kills in Hostel. 15 victims were men and 8
I was
were
not
women.
expecting that, because my memory of the movie didn't count that many deaths in the movie.
I think it's because we didn't see a lot of them die.
Yeah.
They were mostly just
I was they killed 3 people in the movie, is what my brain told me, And but I'd forgotten about a lot of the extra scenes towards the end.
Yeah.
Giving us a pie chart as blue as the movies that play at a brothel. We've seen that count in 4 other movies, and the same gender breakdown in Freddy vs. Jason, but only the special Nightmare edition, which was the second of 3 times I covered that movie. With a runtime of 93 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 4.04 minutes.
Yeah, see, they got a better average than I expected too. I was it's so slow for the first half of the movie, it's probably going to be...
But it picks up. Halfway through the film, it picks up big time.
They rack up the count pretty fast.
Yeah.
Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Josh. Not so much for the throat slit,
but
those
the
damn
Achilles.
slit heels are an unforgettable sight. The
Yeah.
machete for lamest kill goes to the American businessman. Dude fucked up Kana's face, but got a quick and easy death from a few gunshots. And that's it. Hostel premiered in Iceland in late 2005 and opened wide in January 06. It made more than 80 million on a budget of less than 5, so Hostel Part 2 was rolling by September the same year. Will I cover it? Of course, my horse. But until then, I'm James H. Neese. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count on Hostel. Now I've got a big ass bag of candy that I don't know what to do with. I don't need candy. I don't need candy. Although honestly, a Skittle here or there ain't bad. Sometimes I like to taste the rainbow, motherfuckers. I'm excited to be doing another series, even though it's only 3 movies again. And I'm really excited for it to be Hostel. This is like a landmark, benchmark horror movie. Really curious what the reaction to this one's gonna be, because I feel like some people are like, oh, he won't cover it, it's too graphic. Just slap those fucking blurs on and let's talk about this shit, right? Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the next 2 as well. I want to thank some patrons like Rico Story, Joel Ostman, Dofo Vargas, Helen Sanchez, James, Marion DeDios, Bryna Kemp, and TJ McLean. Thanks everyone. Be good people.
If I were you, James, I would just take that bag of candy if you're going to any conventions anytime soon. And everybody that comes up and talk to you, just be like, want a piece of candy from the Hostel video?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, do that. Dude, people would be, I guarantee people would be like,
absolutely.
Yes! It's like, holy crap, dude. Hubba Bubba. So for me, I would say the biggest thing with this film, the biggest thing with this movie that sort of is a landmark about it, is the fact that it came out 2 years after Saw, and it basically proved the model that Saw started. The ultra low budget, high, ultra low budget, high, low production budget, high advertising budget, basically making your money back hand over fist, no problem. And for me, I look at films that capitalized on this, and the ones that did great, the ones that didn't do so great. I look, Sinister, for instance. Sinister is one that made gangbusters at the box office, but costed so little to make.
Yeah.
For instance, here, Sinister.
Sinister is one of my favorite horror films of all time, too.
Yeah. Made for a budget of $3 million.
I think besides the first Saw, Sinister is my favorite, modern era horror film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of classics that I still like more, but modern era wise, Sinister is probably my top favorite horror film besides the first Saw.
Yeah. So, ultra low budget horror, and basically just making your money back. I've thought about potentially getting investors in this area to do.
Didn't know that.
What?
It's inspired by a nightmare Cargill had after watching the 2002 film The Ring.
Well, I mean, there you go. I think that's something that he's just I think that's something that, inspiration. I had a dream last night. I swear to God, it was one of the most vivid dreams that I've ever had because of just what I saw. It was basically, it started out, for some reason, I was on the back deck of my mom's house, and I looked up, and there was a nest, a big nest up in a tree, and I looked, and it was a thing. It was a nest of owl, a mother owl defending her baby owls from a hawk. And I was like, whoa, what the heck's going on up there? And I looked, and then I'm throwing rocks up the tree to try and get the hawk to fly away, and the hawk instead looks down at me, and it transforms into a beast of some sort, and it climbs down the tree and runs after me, and I start running away from it.
What the hell?
And I run into my mom's house, and I close the door and I lock the door, and it gets up to the door, and it changes into a human being, and it looks at me through the glass, and it just starts trying to open the door, and I'm just like, no, what do you do? And basically, I become the prey.
Animorph, dude.
Well, I basically become the prey of this thing, and basically I'm going around the house, and it's chasing me around the house, and I'm just I run out the front door, I get in my truck, and as I'm getting in my truck, it runs up and climbs in my truck bed, and it climbs in through the back window, and I basically pull over on the side of the road, and I'm just trying to get away from this thing, and it won't leave me alone. And then I woke up. I pull over on the side of the road, and I open my truck door to get out, and then all of a sudden, just my phone wakes me up. I'm like, what the fuck? I wake up from that. I'm like, what in the hell? What the hell was that?
So the fun part is it's easier to remember the dreams that you get woken up in the middle of.
Yeah, because I sat up, and I stood up, and I was making sure I'm in my room. Okay, I'm not in my truck. That wasn't real. That wasn't real. Oh my God, that wasn't. Thank God. Holy shit. Holy shit. And I've thought for a long time, I've thought for a long time about making a film making a film like with local support, you know, finding people who are willing to invest X amount of money into a few $1 million, and us dump a lot of like effort into it. You know, we get the best people around here involved. We get the Sutton brothers. We get Eric and his grip group. We get good VFX artists from ETSU or people who want to like do good VFX work. We keep the VFX. We also get people involved who are like good at practical effects locally. We can get Jason Knight to be like our weapons guy. Like if we ever want to do weapons and stuff like that, have him craft something like that's out of a fucking nightmare. All right, I know, because I've seen people who do it, like crafting a knife out of Damascus steel that has like a skull pattern in the middle of it, like a screaming skull in the middle of it. Dude, that would be so epic. And honestly, I don't know what we could make it, but given the minds that we are, we could probably think of some pretty fucked up shit that I could logicify into a workable story that could work as a film.
I still kind of want to like come up with more ideas to extrapolate on that nightmare I told you about that I had that one time.
Oh yeah,
with the thing out in the desert and a cowboy type dude that left the guy buried in the dirt up to his neck. This fucking creature that looks kind of like the gaping dragon from Dark Souls 1 just crawls out and fucking opens up its horizontal chest teeth and bites the dude's head off.
God. Something like that would be pretty wicked.
Yeah.
And the only problem is we don't have a desert around here.
I mean, you can set build for something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Especially with like what I saw of it in my mind, you know. But like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a film either. I kind of just wanted to come up with ideas and maybe like get together with somebody who could draw pretty well and like do like a comic or something at first.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. We could make it work, dude. There's stuff we could do to make it work. I think so.
I just have to get my brain to work on like expanding the lore of that particular world and giving reason to what I saw there, you know.
Well, I can help you with some things. I don't want to do all, you know, because that's the thing. I want you to be able to express yourself on this, but maybe I can help provide inspiration or help provide an avenue that can get you to where you want to be.
Yeah,
because
the things with things like that is the more other people like input their own ideas into it, the less your thing it really becomes.
Well,
you know?
and that's the thing. I'm not wanting to input my own ideas. I'm just wanting to provide inspiration with like experiences. For instance, say we go somewhere and then you just have a jolt. Like you have artwork that you have commissioned somebody to draw of the thing, and then you're just sitting and like we go somewhere and like you just look over the artwork and you look over where we're at and you get inspiration from where you're at. There's definitely stuff we can do in that way that could benefit that. And the fact that I am so close to being done on this SCP film, that to the point of where I'm itching at the bit to get this released. I am so excited to get this released that I can't help myself. That I want to show everyone what we have, but I know it's not finished yet.
Yeah.
I know we're not finished with it yet, and there's still stuff that we need to do, but God, dude, I don't know. And I want people to be patient about it, but I know that not everyone's going to wait forever. Especially me. I can't wait forever for this thing. Anyway, so yeah, this was Hostel, the kill count by Dead Meat. If y'all enjoyed and want to see more from Dead Meat, feel free to click the name and the title of the video. Help James get even more famous. I mean, the dude's got 6 million subs, and we've been tuning into Dead Meat for a long time. I remember when we did our first reaction to it, and James actually commented on it. Dude, that was so long ago.
It's probably before I was on here.
Maybe. Let's actually see. I mean, comments. Let's see. Let's see if it'll let us do, like, oldest. I don't think it will. Come on.
People have said that.
Yeah, they've said dead meat a lot.
So many times in the comment section that it's going to be hard to just find the one that he posted, probably.
Probably, yeah. I can't remember which one it was. But, yeah. I could probably, like, go back and find it. You know, just the dead meat. See. Subscriber count. 1 million or more. There it is.
There you go.
5 years ago. It was on Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. That was right before you joined. Gosh, look at that. Thanks for watching my video, and thanks for the kind words. Dude, that's so awesome. I can't help but just, like, yeah, look at that right there. 5 years ago, James commented on our reaction. That was so cool. It was about, we weren't sure about how they did... Are
him and Chelsea married now?
Yes,
Yeah,
they are
'cause he said
married
my
now.
lovely girlfriend Chelsea in that comment.
Yeah, and the fact that they're married now, that's awesome. But also, I do nearly everything myself, from writing and shooting to editing. This is before he hired Zoran. This is before he hired Zoran as, like, his associate writer.
Yeah.
And also the new Dead Meat podcast, which helps me on occasion with graphic. So, okay, so yeah, the graphics. But again, thanks so much for including me on your channel. Take care. So I think that's awesome that James, still to this day, I'm amazed that James, Epic Rap Battles of History, Cinema Sins, all these people know about us.
Yeah.
I'm still floored by that. And also Camila Cuevas, the fact that she still is a fan of ours. Let's see. Oh no, that's our membership. Let's see. Damn it. I guess keep going back. What the hell? Oh, why is it not wanting to go back?
Stuck in a loop.
Yeah, it's stuck in a stupid time loop. Subscribers, there it is. Okay. So yeah, in terms of subscriber count, all time. There it is. Yeah, Cinema Sins is still a fan. I think Lloyd... Yeah, I think Lloyd unsubscribed. Aw, I'm sad. And also Camila Cuevas, Mustard Plays, Link, Struggle, Adik the One, still a fan. I think that's awesome that all those people are still subscribed to us. But anyway, I guess that's going to do it. So, till next time, everybody. Signing off, I'm Nate.
I am Nick.
Y'all be good people. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.